very basic pre-race briefing, just a few main pointers. There is one doing the first triathlon here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Two doing the first triathlon. And the plan is to mix a little bit of the information from the beginners to the very experienced athletes. Talk a little bit about the course, talk a little bit about information that you benefit from other races. So we have that the 4 topics. Agnes will speak a little bit about the course itself, and then I'll blend in both strategies. What type of strategies you should think in a race? Like, you go to bed tonight, what's the plan for tomorrow? There's a bunch of different options depending on your level. And that is also linked to controlling your anxiety. I'm not sure if anyone cannot sleep before a race. That used to be my case. And then I've had to learn the hard way how to get better at it. And then Agnes will do some basic like nutrition and equipment reminders, and then we do like a Q&A to finish off. Okay, so course specific.
So welcome everyone, and course specific. Let's for those who raced last year, the course is different this year. The bike and the run. For those who raced the first, let me explain what's the difference. So, but let's start with the swim. We're gonna swim over there, and swimming. I think the boys are not. Maybe they're there.
They are.
But they can go out. So this swim course is very. The water is very shallow. So you can we saw the people that were putting up the buoys, and they were standing and the water was up to here. So basically, remember that the water is shallow. So what it means that when you're gonna run to the water, it's going to be very shallow for a long time. But I suggest don't run as soon as you can swim. Start swimming, because you're gonna lose a lot of energy when you try to run through the water with your legs. So obviously this is a bit tiring. So start swimming as soon as you can. The water conditions in the morning are supposedly and hopefully it's gonna be like today, which is completely flat. So no top like this, no currents, no. It should be very nice and flat. Is everyone here doing the Olympic distance or the standard? Okay, sprint 1 lap, Olympic or standard 2. So we have to do one lap, get out of the water, go back again. So don't don't run to transition after you've done only 1 lap. Okay. Then we're moving on to the bike. Last year, the bike was a bit windy. This year, we have a different course, which is super flat. It's going to be very, I would say, straightforward. We just go to the main road that is like maybe 1 or 1.5 kilometers parallel to this road. And you're just going to, I think you're going to enjoy it because it's very beautiful and very fast. Pointers. If it's a flat course, it means that you're gonna and flat. It means you're gonna pass it all the time. Time for your legs to recover downhill, let's say. So that means it even though you can feel great and strong and doing so well, remember that your legs are gonna feel you're gonna need your legs for the run. So just save your energy. Today, when we were cycling that way, we had a tailwind. So the first part of the bike is going to feel easier. Then coming back, we had the headwind. So it was, it can feel a little bit harder. So also take that into account that, the second part of the bike can be harder. So I would suggest if you're going towards the headwind, just keep nice aerodynamic position. Try to tuck yourself a bit and don't grind with the high gear. Just spin the legs maybe a little bit higher cadence. And about the road conditions, I need to warn you that in this course on the main road there's been some roadworks. So in one part you have to cycle through the gravel. So just be careful there. It's little stones, but it's very short. But then on the side of the road, there's no road shoulder. So there's a little bit of debris, like mud or stones. Just be careful. Maybe go right too close to the side of the road. Just leave it close to the center. I hope the road is going to be closer, so it's going to stay.
So we don't know.
I would think so. Yeah. But it should be. Yeah. It's one lap for everybody. So just the sprint, you're going to. And just be really be mindful on the road. But cautious and careful. And look at the other.
But it's just the main road.
Yeah, going towards the shoulder.
Actually, I have a standard select 20% back. They're big for all, and they say Muang Thai Triathlon.
And,
You'd be surprised how many people miss those swings.
I bowling misses too.
so my advice is really take a look at the map before tonight. Maybe have sort of understanding. There's one turn that Vinnie told me that we should be very careful when we take this left turn. It's pretty sharp, so maybe don't stay in the arrow position, but just go up on your.
Can't miss it.
It's
Yeah, it's like a very sharp turn to the left. We had an accident here in a training camp because there was a side wind there. That's where Lindsay
That's where
crashed. Yeah.
So just being really careful, being cautious. Like don't just rely on. Don't close your eyes. Don't look at the road. Just look straight in front and be aware of what's going on around you. And then let's come to the last part of the race, which is run. And run is going to be here. So we're just gonna go out and back. Very flat, very straightforward. Hopefully, there'll still be a little bit of shade, but I cannot promise that. And I think it's very nice, pretty course. So maybe we get a little bit of wind, but it's gonna be hot. So pacing is very important in this part. Right. Maybe we can talk a little bit more about this in the Q&A, and we can move to the next.
Yeah. I'll just add a little bit on this. When do you have like waves for the swim? And it will happen here. We have the sprint, I think, starts 10 minutes before. And normally in a 7.38, you have the waves by levels. So one trick you can do, like the current seems to be pushing to the left, at least the wind is. So we don't know. So try to pay attention what the behavior of the swimmers of the wave in front of you, so you can anticipate a little bit what's happening. So you have the sprint distance guys, which is a bit harder to get in terms of current. During the warm-up, you can try to feel it, but it's not that simple. But if you're doing the standard, you just sit there waiting, and then you like understand if, because this race is out and back is very straightforward. So there's a buoy, you go around. So if the wave is pushing to the right, you're going to see people who start to swim in the wrong direction, kind of, or they will open up quite more. So it's much easier to see what direction the wave is pushing. And then you can, for example, run a little bit to one of the sides of the beach, depending on the situation. So if it's pushing the right direction, you can, on the start, just swim a little bit wider. That's one thing. And then, if I remember well, the water can go like deep and then go up and then go deep again. So it's always a good idea to, during the warm-up, try to feel that so you can mentally know what to expect. Because once you go running, you don't want to have any surprises, right? Yeah. So the next topic would be the strategy and then controlling the anxiety. So we had this conversation in New Zealand at the World Championships. And there, the message was, you're not going to win this race. It's the World Championships. So try to take the pressure off. Because if you go at 95% of your potential, you're going to enjoy 10x. And the time difference will be 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, which means in a World Championship result level, instead of finishing 200th place, you're going to be 250. Like, who cares? In 5 years, you won't even remember your position, but you're going to remember, the emotions, the stress, or the stress that you didn't have. So in a small race like this, I would say small as in low pressure, low expectation race, it's a good opportunity for you to try different things that you don't want to try when the race really, really matters, when it's really big. And we have athletes here. For example, I expect Sam to win the thing tomorrow. And then I expect Selim.
No pressure, no expectation.
And I expect Selim to just learn and finish the thing.
Thanks.
And then there may be some athletes where Kipsan, you know, before his race, I think 1 year ago, like Kipsan, the goal is to try to swim a little bit faster, to swim with a certain group, and then if you have to go all out early on the bike. So it's an opportunity to try to maybe ride really hard to see what happens on the run, or maybe the other direction. You know, try to hold back on the bike if you normally blow up. Try to run faster. So it's one opportunity to, because the opportunity costs very little. We all just drove here, inexpensive entry. Actually, I don't know, but less than an Ironman race. You know, it's a fun thing. So if something goes wrong, like no one really cares, and then you take that lesson to a race that's more important. So if you want to try something different, that's the opportunity. And I said about the sleep and the anxiety. This is more maybe for the first timers, or for the more high performance athletes. Before a race, they want to qualify or they want to really, really deliver. And if you happen to have a problem with getting 2 inches, I have this strategy that I use, including with myself as an athlete, which is, you know, your fitness, and then race day, there is very little that you can do to go much faster than that. It's physiology. There is an actual physiology response in terms of like lactate levels that if you go beyond certain intensity, you're going to release more lactate, you're going to tighten up, you have to slow down. So it's not about like you want more. No, there is actually like science behind your limitations. And once you understand that's your actually max, otherwise, you know, all you have to do is to want and not to train. You just have to train the wanting more. So once you understand there is a physiological ceiling, let's say that's your 100%. If you pull back a little bit, let's call it 10%, which means you're racing or you're training at one zone lower. So instead of doing the Olympic distance intensity, you perform at your 7.3 intensity, which is around 10% lower. And on the 7.3 race, you can do the same and go down to the Ironman intensity. Just see how much easier that feels on your mind and on the body. Like, okay, if tomorrow it's a 7.3 race and I just want to have fun, you know what? I know that I can cruise this at Ironman pace any day of the week. So you just visualize and you target that intensity and that goal. And then if you put the numbers together, in running, that's around 15 seconds per K, 20 seconds per K. We press that at the track. On the bike, that will be 10 watts, 10% less watts, which is less than 10% of the speed because of the wind resistance. So it's not much of a difference. So you may calculate on a 7.3, maybe like 10 minutes slower. So is it really worth it to like fully stress to go 5 hours and 30 or 5 hours and 40? You know, the difference is not much. And once you decide, okay, I'm really now, I want to be able to sleep, I want to be able to enjoy, so I'm just going to cruise at Ironman intensity on my 7.3 tomorrow. Or tomorrow here, if it's the case, like for Celine, I just want to cruise and at my long distance all day pace, as David called it, right? And you're going to see it's not much of a difference, and that is going to take the pressure off. So that's one strategy that I like to recommend to my athletes. And then once you put that in your mind, you're going to feel way more chilled. You stop to try to, you know, do little things that's going to help you, like save 1 second race day. You're going to sleep better. And once the gun goes on race day, you're going to find yourself slowly moving back towards actually what you can actually deliver. You're going to be so relaxed. And you're like, you know what, actually I'm feeling good. So I'll get back to my target intensity for the actual race distance. That's my recommendation. That's if you happen to be freaking out a little bit, yeah. If you're doing your first full distance, actually you've done the full distance before, but anyone doing the first full distance, like, okay, I'm really going to just cruise this, take the pressure off. Cool. And last one, a little bit of a reminder on the equipment and nutrition, that kind of stuff. Pacing.
So just to sum up, Vinnie's, I just want to add something from myself. Think about this: the race is nothing special. It's like your training. Just you're doing this with other people around you, and it's gonna be more fun. So just think about it that you pay for it. You want it to be here. We're all here, and I think it's that's the main goal for tomorrow. Just to enjoy that whole experience. I think by this time everyone is pretty much ready with the equipment, so the bikes are ready, and make sure when you put the bike to the transition tomorrow, make sure it's on the right gear. So don't put it on too hard here that you cannot move the bike, so drop it. Or like something that's comfortable for you riding, so that you can start smoothly. Make sure you prepare your nutrition hydration today. Put the stickers on the bike, put the stickers on the helmet. Prepare your racing chip because you're gonna need this. It's a very important thing for tomorrow. If you are worried that you're gonna forget about it, put it on your left ankle already today. Some people do it and it works. Yeah, what else? Checklist. I don't know.
Won't try anything new on race day.
Yeah, well, there's a little bit contradiction to what Vinnie said, but it's about the nutrition and hydration. Don't try nothing, like nothing new. Right? Just what works for you, what you use in your training sessions. Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah, for the pacing, I would
Pacing.
the wind situation can be very difficult to judge the pacing. So if you use the power meter, keep an eye on it. Heart rate, same thing. Because we have likely the tailwind on the way out.
Yeah.
It's the early on the bike, not so much for short course, but for long distance, is the most important part of the whole race. If you get that first 10 to 20 minutes right, the whole race tends to develop much easier. And most people don't. So this would be extra challenge because you feel so good because there's a tailwind, you're excited about it. And so just make sure, like as Agnes said, you save it for the headwind. That would be one part. She also said something that I could not agree more, which is when you should start swimming, it can be tricky, you know, like you tend to just do whatever the person in front of you is doing it. You kind of just go. And my recommendation also is as soon as you cannot run over the water anymore, the water is around your hip, start swimming. And then on the way out, I personally like to swim until I actually touch the sand.
Touch the sand means you.
And then because I'm sure everyone here who's done a race in a situation like this, you see the bottom, and then you start to run, and then you can't, and then you slow down. So just make sure once you grab it, you run. And regarding pacing, short course, you cannot go too wrong about it. But I would recommend, I was thinking about actually Emma, I was thinking about Slavic. The athletes who have a hard time getting the pacing right. Actually, we have Ali here, would be a good one too. Athletes who have a hard time holding back early. Tomorrow you should be able to get away with starting too fast, but try to use this as an opportunity to negative split your event. Even though short course, you don't necessarily have to do it. The price you pay is not too high. But Slavic, Ali, Emma's not here. I wanted your last 10K to be much faster than your first 10K on the bike. Ali, you're doing the same with the run. And what's the distance for the duathlon again?
I'm not doing so.
Oh, you do, yes. Who's doing the duathlon?
In sprint.
Okay. Yeah, so I mix it up. So I would say, like first third of each like should be slower than the middle and should be slower than the final. So it's an opportunity for you to train again, get this right. So once it really matters, you have this dialed in. Yeah. So I guess that covers like the basics. Any questions we can?
It should be the same for running, right? So, like, we should also stop slower. So.
Very important. Yeah. So the early on the bike, in a long distance race especially, it is the most important because if you don't get that right, you're shot by the run anyway. So you're done. You've got to wait until the next opportunity. Once you get to the run, you can screw that up, but you're only going to screw the run up. If you start the bike fast, you're going to screw the whole race up. At least on the run, you limit the damage a little bit, but that's also very important. And it's not as important here tomorrow, but since we're discussing this for the long distance, if you have done a full Ironman, especially for the full Ironman, sometimes you may. That was my experience in my first Ironman. I was extremely shocked on how good I felt once I started the run. I'm like, it feels like I didn't even ride the bike. I'm feeling so fresh, so easy. I did that first mistake. For some reason, I was self-coached at the time, and I thought that I could do some magic and run faster than I was doing on race day. And I was running with a training buddy of mine, and I knew he was faster. So I decided to risk and go with him. I suffered a lot. I still had a decent race, but I suffered a lot. And so, like, just use as a warm-up. For you, especially because I know you struggle with building into it. So just use that same first 2 kilometers. I want you to run at a 7.3 pace. So 15, 20 seconds is lower than you think that you can hold for the rest of the race.
7.3.
Yeah. So it's mental training for you to be literally running and like fighting with your mind to like hold back, slow, let people go. On the bike, it's even more important because like it may happen we have a big team racing tomorrow and you know each other's ability. So you may be on the bike and then some of our training partners here, they overtake you and you're like, how is this possible? Because I know I'm actually stronger than an athlete. And then you chase it. So it's kind of like the blind leading the blinds. You know, that person is making a mistake, and then that will leverage you to make a mistake too. So I've seen this happening many, many times where, on the bike, whenever I'm tracking any of my athletes doing a 7.3 race, and I remember Kipsang doing this many times, long distance or like full Ironman or short course, you're using the Ironman tracker, and then you have those splits every 10, 15 Ks, whatever. And I literally celebrate when I see they're getting overtaken on the first split. So Kipsang swims like 5th of the age group, and then from the 0K on the mark, and then to the 10K to the 15K, you see the arrow, right, on the Ironman thing, and then the arrow drops like 5 positions. I'm like, okay, yes. He's doing it right. So that's on your race. I want you to remember that Vinnie's watching the thing, and you're like, okay, I want to get overtaken on the bike. It's a good sign. Okay. Yeah. More questions? Okay.
For one question, sorry for getting here a bit late. For the aid stations, typical half Ironman, full Ironman, we walk the aid station. Short course, quite hot. What's your recommendation? Walk, right? Still faster.
Depends on the level.
Faster.
Depends on the level.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there is very little harm to just walk a little bit.
Yeah.
Make sure you have time to cool down. Depends on the weather.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think it changes much for most. If you're like, I don't expect same to walk.
No.
You know?
No.
But Celine,
Everyone can walk, but
even
not anywhere.
even Slavic, you guys were like training for long course. I don't see any problem. Yeah.
Oh, one reminder about the aid stations. I don't think there's water on the bike. So please get your water, get your hydration for the whole bike course, yeah? Don't expect to get water in the middle of the bike. There's going to be water on the ground, for sure, and other nutrition, but bike, I don't still have any aid station. Have your water with you.
And going back to the equipment list, I remember we had that unofficial Iron Guides group chat at the Facebook. I think Slavic was buying, or Anna was selling one of the...
I wasn't
The
selling.
holder.
Anna.
Anna was.
on the back seat, right? And I always recommend to bring what's important with you on the frame or in between the aero bars. because the nickname of that bottles that goes in the back is bottle launcher. I think that every person here has lost a bottle there. And if you bring your calories there, like your race, not here, but in a long course race could be over. So whatever is important, make sure you have full access. And if you drop it, stop it and get it. Because at the heat of the moment, like on a screw it, I can just get it something on the course. But sometimes you just don't have access to as much calories as you're bringing.
How much water do you think we should be drinking on the bike?
Very personal, but I think at least 500 milliliters per hour. So, like the minimum.
So really, that's only one torpedo thing at the front, isn't it? And then a little bottle at the back. Okay.
You don't have on the frame, yeah?
Yeah, no. Just a torpedo.
I mean, it's very clear how much
Yeah.
is sweat and how long is the race, of course.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
what you get in
Okay.
training.
And for the short course, you can get away by making some mistakes regarding nutrition.
Yeah.
The price that you pay is not as much as in like a half Ironman, which is not in
Yeah. Okay. Now, one other little thing. Sorry, Vinnie, lots of questions here. So like I've never had one of those high carb drink things that they sell, the sachet things. I bought one today. I'm a bit scared about taking it. It's 300 calories, or do I just go with I've got like 100 calorie one that I put in? I can.
Like you just do whatever you did in the training. Don't try anything.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. I just
If you
stick
want,
with it. I know. I don't want to
very,
end up.
very
Yeah.
small
No,
increments.
And just last time I got a stitch, real bad stitch on the run. I tried to run it off. Was any recommendations about that? Avoiding stitches.
That's not regarding to pacing.
The pacing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Always pushing it.
people will blame nutrition.
Mm.
Oh, I had this gel, there was different.
Yeah.
Like,
You start off just
yeah. It's
Yeah, I
you're-
did start way too fast trying to
You
catch someone.
overestimated your fitness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
this type of stuff or blowing up in a race,
Mm.
it's the analogy that I make, it's the same reason why an airplane crashes. There's that book, Outliers. He explains there has to be a combination. Most crashes, there is a combination of like half a dozen factors.
Mm.
Everything has to go wrong. So there's equipment mistake, there is weather issues, there is human communication problems, and there is like personal difficulty. So that stage, it's something like this. So the main factor is you probably pacing. You got that wrong. But then you probably also maybe you had like some more calories that are used to. Maybe you had more or less salt that you should have. So it kind of adds up to it. But usually the main reason is the pacing. But it's more like blowing up, for example, if you blow up at the end of an Ironman. Pacing tends to be the driving factor. But also, if you overpace early on the bike or on the run and you didn't eat enough, and you didn't get enough salt, and you're not fit enough. You know, you have all these reasons and then boom. And then people, it was like the coconut gel that I had that I felt,
Fair enough.
no,
Okay.
it's not the flavor of the gel that you're not used to.
No.
I've heard this so many times, huh?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Well, I'm going to be around. I'm going to get some food there. So if anyone wants to ask more questions, I'm available to have a chat.
take photo.
Thank you, guys.
Very cool. Yeah.